Amen. Whew, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Just watching those young people today has exhausted me. Come on, beloved, let's bow our heads for just the word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we come thanking you for the majesty of this moment, the precious privilege that you have assigned to our hands to assemble in this holy place. We do now, as always, ask that you would look out over the landscape of our lives. And if you find any item that may prove to be an impediment, we are humbly asking that you might move it in the name of Jesus. And so now, Lord, in the words of our ancestors in the days of antiquity, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart prove acceptable in thine sight. O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Might the people of God say amen. Come on, I want us to salute those young people again. Their high energy and passion is felt throughout this sanctuary. And we are so delighted to have them as a part of our ministry. I also want to salute our music ministry that has set the atmosphere and made preaching easy today. Beloved, you may be seated in the presence of the Lord. Our media ministry, if you would locate the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 18, and I'd like to begin around verse 6. Now, many of you will readily recognize the recitation of this text as a continuation of what I preached about last week. And I am seemingly unable to detach myself from the story of David, early David. I have an online course entitled The 7 Faces of David, and my preaching is really a reflection of that online curriculum. But I want to look today at 1 Samuel 18, verses 6 and following. And last week, I preached about David facing Goliath. Real quick, I said he rejected the offer of King Saul. Number one, because it didn't fit. Number two, because if it didn't work for Saul, it wouldn't work for David. And number three, he had greater confidence in his experiences with God than the weapons that Saul was offering. I want to jump now to what happens after the fight with Goliath. Now, he defeats Goliath. Goliath is slain. The Philistines are on the run. The men of Israel pursue them, and they return home with Saul in victory. This victory is overlain with an incident that takes place between Saul and David that I want to examine with you today. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 6. And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, watch this one, that women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with timbrels, with joy, and with instruments of music. Take a look at the next verse. Next verse. And the women answered one another as they played and said, watch this, Saul hath slain his thousands and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth or angry, and the saying displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000, and to me they have ascribed but 1,000. And what can he have more but the kingdom? Watch where this goes. Watch where this goes. Next verse. Next verse. And Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. And he prophesied in the midst of the house, and David played with his hands as at other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. I'm going to close here with what Saul does with the javelin. Next verse. Watch this. Watch this. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David, even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. Not once, but twice. 2 times Saul attempts to kill David. And David is spared not once, but twice. I want to examine with you, beloved, what happened after the fight. And the fight that I'm talking about is the fight between David and Goliath. Now, here's what we know. Here's what you already know. David defeats Goliath. He actually uses Goliath's own sword to defeat the giant. The Philistines, seeing their champion falling, go on the run. And Israel chases after them. They win the day. Are you with me? And they return home. Now, what I have read to you today represents what happens once they get back home. The day is won. The victory is secured. They return home. Go back to verse 6. I need you to see this. And listen, sometimes I'm accused of not using a whole lot of Bible in my preaching. I will confess to you, I am not what is theologically referred to as a biblicist. But today, I'm going to use some Bible to show you some stuff in the Word. Hello, somebody. Hello. Because I really need you to see this. I really need you to see this because there are a few obscure passages that I would dare say we have paid little or no attention to before. But I want to present them to you today because I believe it will bless you. Here's the summation. Here's the summation. When the victory is won and the day is done, Saul says to David, you can't go home. Now remember, David had come to the battle from his daddy's house, delivering lunch. Are you with me? Watch this. But when David defeats Goliath, the king says, you're going home with me. And they return home. Are you with me? They return home. Now, go back to verse 6. And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul with this version says tabrets. It's actually timbrels, joy, and instruments of music. Now, I want you to turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, don't be impressed with the noise from the crowd. Wait, yeah, get it again. Get it again. Turn to somebody else. Turn to somebody else and say, neighbor, don't be impressed with the noise from the crowd. Now, I want you to see this. Bring the verse back up. There is a noise that erupts because the women of Israel come out with timbrel, joy, dance, and instruments of music. In other words, they make a lot of noise. And this noise easily could have affected and impressed David. Now, what we remember now, the soldiers are coming home from a battle. And the crowd is making a bunch of noise. But my caution to you is don't be impressed with the noise that comes from the crowd. Can I tell you why? Because in the case of David, that wasn't his crowd. That crowd didn't belong to him. Okay, look at the verse. Look at the verse. Bring the verse back up. Bring the verse back up. That the women came out of all cities of Israel singing and dancing to meet King. That's Saul's crowd. They didn't come for David. They came for Saul. But the noise they were making was directed at David. So my caution here is be careful, be careful. Don't get too impressed with the noise that comes from the crowd, because it may not be your crowd. And the noise they're making may not be intended for you. Okay, let me come at it another way. The noise from somebody else's crowd can get you in trouble because it ain't your crowd. Okay, can I show it to you? Can I show it to you? The very next verse says, here's what the women say. Saul has killed his thousands. David has killed his 10,000. And this gets Saul mad. Hello? Saul gets angry because they're giving more credit to David than they're giving to him. But wait a minute. Who won the battle? David. Okay, I'm going to help you. Beloved, don't be surprised when folk get mad at you because they can't take credit for what you have done. Oh, do you see this? The reason Saul got mad was because David was getting credit for what David did. What Saul wanted the people to give him credit for having done what David did. Can I talk up in here? So I need you not to be surprised when folk get mad because they can't take credit for what you did. Can I contemporize it for you? Whose inauguration crowd was the Lord? Oh, come on. We hearing all this chatter, all this remorse, all this complaint because somebody else's crowd was larger than. You know what? I said I wasn't going to be political today. I promised, because we had guests, that I was going to be biblical and spiritual. But there is a contemporary application here. We see Sauls every day of our lives. And there are people in your sphere of influence who hate on you, jealous, envious, because they can't take credit for the victory God has given you. Okay. Now I'm really going to fix it for you. Because I want to explain on a deeper level why Saul was so angry. Let me remind you, the crowd was there in response to Saul. That was Saul's crowd. And the reason Saul was upset is because it was his crowd making noise about somebody else. He was so prideful, so egotistical, had such an eggshell ego until he could not handle somebody getting credit for what they were entitled to. And there, listen, come on. There are some souls seated in this sanctuary right now. Don't look at them. Don't. Don't turn your head. Go. Look at it. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Look at me. Because there's some folk who are seated not too far away from you, who will become envious and jealous, poke their mouth out, suck their teeth, roll their eyes, because they feel that you are infringing. That's their crowd. That's my posse. That's my BFF. That's my friend. That's my partner. Why are they talking about you? All right, let me help you. Come, all right. Can I make it plain? Can I make it plain? Let me make it plain. Let me use my family. That's safe. I want to identify a soul. Now listen, I'm being symbolic here. This is a metaphor. This is not real. I'm just trying to use an example to get you to see what I'm trying to say. I'm not talking necessarily about what's real. Get close, sis. Get close. Yeah. Now, if at the end of the service, Elder Gordon, going down the aisle, says to Sister Wilhelmina, Sister Wilhelmina, you sure look nice today. A compliment. The first sister might respond, yes, she does look nice, but you better say something about me in the next 10 seconds or there's going to be trouble in the house. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Amen. Listen, Saul was upset because that was his crowd. And one of the things that angered him was that his crowd was making a big ado about David. And he was frustrated because he could not secure for himself the accolades that was being attributed to David. Can I talk up in here? So the first item I want you to know, don't be too impressed with the crowd if the crowd ain't your crowd. Do understand that the noise of the crowd can get you in trouble, because there are people who will get angry with you because they can't take credit for what you have done. Woo! Can I show you just one other item? I promise to let you go. But can I show you just one other item? This is kind of profound. Bring the screen back up, and I believe it is verse 10, I think. Verse 10. And I will confess to you at the outset of what I'm about to say that this is theologically problematic. This is going to assault your sense of who God is. But only if you read it wrong. Come on, let's go to the text. Verse 10. Watch this. And it came to pass on the next day or the morrow, that the evil spirit from God. Wait a minute. Evil spirit from God. I mean, a casual reading of this would almost suggest that God has a dark side. Okay. Evil is negative. God is positive. How do you get a negative out of a positive? Come on, walk with me. Here's the problem. The problem is the Bible is seemingly suggesting that God is the producer of the evil spirit, because the evil spirit from God settles on Saul. And you're asking yourself, now that you're seeing this, you're asking yourself, why does God produce evil? I was saying in my theology class on yesterday that we can agree on what the Bible says. The debate is over what it means, or what we in theological circles refer to as the hermeneutical task. In other words, how do you interpret what you're reading? Now, the English version of King James, you missed it already. You missed it. The English version of King James reads this, and it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit from God came upon Saul. I want to argue in your hearing that that is a faulty translation in the English, and that we don't really get a clear picture of what the text is saying until we go back to the original Hebrew and we read it literally in Hebrew. Because when we read it in Hebrew, we come away with a slightly different message. Here is what the text says in the original Hebrew. And there came an evil spirit that was not blocked by God. Oh, somebody go see this thing over here. The original Hebrew, when you go back to the original Hebrew and you look at it literally it says, and there was an evil spirit that came that was not blocked by God. Which means the only reason the evil spirit got to Saul is because God permitted it. All right, okay, let's be theological. There is a difference between God's perfect will and God's permissive will. There are some things that happen in your life that is the result what God prefers for your life. And that represents his perfect will for your life. But there's some stuff that happens in your life that God allows to happen, and it happens with his permission, because God's trying to get a better blessing in your hands. Yes! Is it all right? Is it all right? All right, ooh, don't push me too fast. Don't push me too fast. There's perfect will, what God prefers. Then there is permissive will, what God allows. In this instance, the evil spirit jumps on Saul, but only with God's permission. Literally, the text says, and there was an evil spirit. God was not evil, but the spirit that was attempting to attack Saul was spirit. There was an evil spirit that was not blocked. But, oh, come here, Big George. Come here, Big George. Stand right here. Face that way. Stand right here. Face that way. Come here, Amber. Face this way, Reg. Face this way. Now, if Reg is the evil spirit who's attempting to get to me, he cannot be successful as long as Big George is standing in the way. because Big George is blocking his access. So I am secure, shielded, protected, as long as Big George is blocking his path. The only way the evil spirit can get to me is if Big George steps to the side and gives him access to where I am. Are y'all hearing me? So the only reason that Saul was assaulted by an evil spirit is because God decided to step out of the way. And when God steps out of your way, when God unblocks your path, that leaves you vulnerable to anything that the devil wants to do in... Yes! 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 So I've got to close. But I close by examining with you, why would God step out the way? Why does God allow this evil spirit? So, hermeneutically, don't misinterpret the passage. The passage is not suggesting that God is evil. The passage is saying that it comes from God or the direction of God only because God stepped out of the way and allowed the spirit to come from the direction where your God had been standing. Now let me help somebody. There's some stuff in your life. It looks like it's coming from God's direction. But the reality is God has stepped out the way and he's allowed some stuff to occur in your life that may be negative, but he would not have allowed it if you couldn't handle it. Can I preach in here? Can I sail in the water? Is he all right? Yeah! Yeah! Yes! All right, so let's close. Let's close by just exploring for about 30 seconds. Why would God step out the way, allow Saul to attack Saul, allow this evil spirit to attack Saul and invalidate Saul, cancel Saul, force Saul to forfeit everything he had because he was consumed by an evil spirit? Can I tell you why? Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, God steps aside in chapter 18 because of the promise he made in chapter 16. Now, you know why it's so quiet in here? Because you don't remember. Or you don't know what happened in chapter 16. Let me remind you. In chapter 16, there's a prophet by the name of Samuel who shows up at Jesse's house, gathers the family, and says, in this family is the next king of all Israel. It's not the older boys, but it's the baby boy, David. Now, the problem is, at the time the prophecy is given, David is a shepherd boy, and Saul is the king. Can I preach up in here? But it's just like God, that if you wait on the Lord, he will move whoever is in the way out of the way, and then put you where he promised to place you. Yeah! Yeah! Yes! Yes! The reason God allowed Saul to lose his mind and be consumed with anger is because he promised David that when I get ready, I'm going to move Saul out the way and I'm going to put you on the throne. That's just like God. That's why you need to wait on him. Because if you wait on him, he will fix your situation. If you wait on him, he will bless your bones. If you wait on him, he will open up doors. If you wait on him, he'll put food on your table. If you wait on him, he'll put a shelter above your head. If you wait on him, he'll put clothes on your back. Yeah! 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 I gotta go. I have a stress test tomorrow. I'm already tired. Hello, somebody. Bring up the scriptures just one more time. Watch this. Oh. 11th verse. And Saul threw the spear, cast the javelin. He said, I will smite David even to the wall. And David avoided it twice. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, missed. No, y'all ain't working with me. Y'all ain't working with me. Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, missed. Now here's what I'm trying to tell you. Saul didn't miss because he didn't have good aim. Saul missed because God made a promise to David. And God said, I can't let you hit your target because I've already decided that David is going to be my king. No weapon formed against you can prosper. Yeah! 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 Come on, rest on your feet. Brother Moses, I don't want to work you too hard. I'm trying to get you out early today. But I just believe somebody in here today has a testimony. And your testimony is not verbal. Here's your testimony. Here's your testimony. is your testimony. There's some folk who've been throwing stuff at you, but God made them miss because God got his hand on you. Yeah! 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 Come on, put your hands together. Come on. Somebody praise him up in here. Hold it. Hold it. Y'all act like you don't want to have church today. You act like your spirit can't respond to the truth of heaven. Give me 10 volunteers. Give me 10 volunteers. 10 real fast. 10 real fast. That's 1, 2, 3. Come on, stand right here. Line up across here. Line up across here. Stand right there. Line up across. Line up across. Yeah, line up across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need one more. I need one more. I need one more. I need one more. Come on, come on. Come on, give me something. Watch this, watch this. Wait a minute. All right, light up, light up, light up. Light up, light up. Light up, light up. Light up. All right. I know you want to dance. I know you want to dance. But watch me, watch me. They represent you. That's you up there. That's you. Are you with me? That's you up there. I'm the devil. Come on. Now watch this, watch this. Show me what you're going to do when the devil throws something at you.